This week on our podcast show, Winston and I look back at the last season of our show. It feels funny to be able to say that we're looking back at last seasons. That means that we're like veterans. We've been doing this for quite some time. And we kind of have. We look forward to what's coming up in the next season, which is going to be season 5. From our favorite moments of a very entertaining last season to our plans to go international in season 5. It's all coming up right now. So in one of our previous episodes, we talked about some studies that have shown that most podcasts fail within the first 3 episodes. And I can believe that because you have to put a lot of work in preparation into these conversations. And some people just don't have that discipline or that drive to actually make something like this happen. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is that most shows don't go past 20 episodes. So to be able to get to 40. And this is actually, technically, this is 47 or something like that. How does that even feel? Like, how?
It's just crazy. I mean, I feel great, and I can't thank you more than for you guys to, supporting us and everything. And thank you for subscribing and, watching our show every week. It's amazing. It's because we've done other shows as well, these special shows with the launches, Samsung, and we did the one with Google, Amazon, Apple, and those are special shows which cover all the new products that are coming out. But talking about having 40 shows plus all those special shows is amazing. The amount of content that we produce, it's beyond belief. I mean, like you said, most shows don't go past 20 episodes, and we are on 40 plus. So, I'm really happy with that. And the amount of work that we put in, especially Stephen and I put in. So it's amazing. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm kind of curious about what the next roadblock is for most podcasts, because I saw those 2 stats. I was like, that's basically a start. A lot of podcasts do get up to 100 episodes, but where's the other goal that we need to, what's the other hurdle that we need to cross to be a legitimate podcast? Like, I have to look a little bit further, but maybe we'll save that stat for the start of our season 5, which we'll talk about in a little while. So moving on, we've had some really great moments in season 4. I myself, one of the things, and I'm about the process, right? More than anything else. The number one thing that I thought about season 4 that was really slick, at least to me, was the fact that we got our podcast process down. We knew that in order for a show to be coherent and entertaining and with the ability for us to tweak and make better every week, is that we do need a rundown. For those people that aren't at home, that aren't familiar with that terminology, it's basically just an outline of what we need to talk about and what the next topic is, or what the next idea is that we need to drive through. So even right now, looking at our podcast rundown, we've already gone through 3 sections, and you didn't even know that at home, but it helps me and Winston drive the conversation forward, move it fluidly. And if I get stuck somewhere, Winston knows how to help me get out of that trouble spot, and vice versa. So it makes the conversation flow much better, so that you at home, when you're watching this, it's not a bunch of guys going, dude, it makes it better for you viewing at home.
I mean, sometimes you could go over more than some of the topics that you talk about, and you go on and it's a bit too long, right? Yeah. So I come in, or vice versa, Stephen can come in and just kind of like take a little bit of a break and move on to the next topic. Because if you stay on the same topic area for too long, people might get, lose their concentration or, lose their interest. So it's something that, you want to move on quickly to the next topic. So it just give you that little bit of, interest in the next topic.
Yeah.
And what I find is also, like I said, the rundown helps definitely. And like I said, again, I have a 10-year-old, and he's asking, "Oh, you're doing a podcast? Oh, you got a script?" I said, "Yeah, it helps."
Of course we do.
Right, it helps, because if you don't have that, you're like umming and harring and oohing, and you kind of like get lost. You lose the viewers, right?
Yeah.
And if you do that, then that's probably one of the reasons why podcasts don't succeed, is because they're off topic and they're they lose interest, their focus is somewhere else, and you can lose a viewer because you're not guiding them.
Yeah.
Right.
But most importantly, we lose each other because it's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Like, where are you going with this, Winston or Stephen? Or, this helps us be more see, more coherent in the expression of our ideas. We write notes down, and I love the process. But in terms of episodes and things that I loved last season, just a couple things real quick is that I love the fact that we are touching on some of the emerging technologies. We've talked about AI, which we're still finding out a lot more of coming up. And I think we're going to do a couple more shows about that as we learn more. It's something that is very abstract to a lot of people. People think that AI is robots and stuff like that. But in reality, right now, we're talking to machines that react like humans to us. And in some cases, they can pass bar exams, medical exams, and write content for us, which is actually, for a lot of content creators, it's a very scary place. But one of the things that I thought that was extremely timely, and this is with the changing of the guard in terms of transportation, is the fact that we've been touching on a lot of EV topics. I know for a fact that EV, it's still growing a lot. If you look across all of the content creators and everything like that, most shows that cover vehicles, cover transportation, cover cars are still skewed towards internal combustion engines. But that's changing a lot, especially in British Columbia. When I look outside, and I'm not in a rich neighborhood, as some people would postulate, right? I mean, Doug Ford, who is the Premier of Ontario, he says that only millionaires buy EVs. Wrong. I'm not in a rich neighborhood, yet I see EVs everywhere. Everywhere I drive, I see an EV. And because we are practical and data-driven people, I have a spreadsheet that tells me that my gas car costs me 5 times as much to drive than my EV. Yeah. So it's a practical thing. And I think that we're going to be very happy when we look back and see that some of our podcast episodes about EVs are growing in views. So can't wait for that. All right, I shared some of my favorite moments from season 4. What about you, Winston? What are some things that really stuck out to you?
Well, for me, it's got to be the Linus got hacked episode. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, it's a terrible what happened to him, but yes, it gives to the point where you got to be careful with all the scammers and hackers out there. Protect your passwords and all that kind of stuff. It gives you some advice on that, and so that was a good episode for us to cover. And we also did the CS 2023. So we didn't attend, but there was a lot of interest because it was the first in-person kind of event that people got to all the tech stuff. So it was interesting to see what was new, what was going on, and what to expect coming up to the next episode and next event at the Computex 2023.
And that's when we go international. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's that is definitely something that I hope that we get to do more in the next while. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Linus getting hacked. Yeah, unfortunate. But we learned so much from that.
Yeah, that's right.
And one of as a quality, authentic and transparent creator, he shared exactly what happened. And hopefully that helps another creator out there not have to deal with that again. I know that we've taken certain steps to protect this podcast and everything. And I hope that that I would never send you an email asking for gift cards to be scratched off in the back and sent to a certain address or meet me at a Bank of America somewhere. I would never do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so there's obviously, in order for a show to evolve, and hey, guess what? We have a rundown, so we're moving on to our next topic right here. Is we're going to be making some changes to season 5. Like we've been looking at the data. Coming through over the last, 40 somewhat, over 40 shows. And what you've been telling us about, what you've told us is that you're looking for things that you can engage more with, and we're looking for the same. We haven't gotten a mountain of comments. We would love to see them. We would love the community to grow beneath this podcast, but that's obviously going to take time, and we can't make you do that. So we're going to reach out, and we're going to make some changes based on the things that we've seen in the data. So some of the things that we absolutely need to do is we need to make shorter episodes. And what we found out is that most of you guys, and like diehards, are going through at least 3 to 5% of you. That's about the 15 of you, 20 of you are going straight to the end of our podcast on the first watch/listen, right? And we really appreciate you for doing that. It means so much for us to have at least some of you out there watching from beginning to end. So we've been, we're humbled by that. But we want to reach a lot more of you, and we want to be a lot more entertaining. So we're aiming for shorter episodes for next season. We're aiming for about a 30-minute show. So that makes it easy for you to listen to on your commute, because we are available on the brand new YouTube podcast, which is available exclusively on YouTube Music in the US. So if you're a US viewer, and we know that a huge 30% chunk of you are from the US, thank you so much. And we hope that we see you on that platform and you're listening to us in more bite-sized shows, because the average commute, about 30 minutes, you can finish off one of our shows. So we hope that we get more views and engagement from that.
Is that a podcast available for international, or is just the US at the moment? Are they going to expand into other?
The Explore page regions? At the moment for podcasts is only available in the US. So youtube.com/podcast is only available in the US at the moment.
All right.
As far as I know, I only keep track of Canada and the US. So if you know that you can see us in another country and you're a fan, please drop a comment down below for us. We would love to hear from you, we would love to talk to you, okay, and see what things that you're excited about in your part of the world, because as a show that wants to be a little more international minded, wants to focus on not just local Canadian topics, but that we can relate to, but also relating some things that we can learn from you, from across the pond, from across the world, so that we can provide feedback and comparisons between how our life is here and how it is in the rest of the world, and how we can kind of connect the two together, right? Which, keeps us a little bit more broad and always learning, right? The other thing that will help us do the second thing that we need to change is more energy. I drink a lot of coffee for these episodes. I like too much. So by the time I'm finished, I have to run to the bathroom. So the 30-minute shows will help us be more even keeled, hopefully, and will allow us to create rundowns that just have a lot more specific things to say, perhaps, or even more rundowns that are just more focused on certain topics that you guys are more interested in. I think it's so difficult to fill an hour, and we've done that for 40 shows, but we're always like tired at the end for some reason.
I mean, 1 hour of talking about a few topics, all jammed into 1 hour. It's quite a lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And if you look at all the videos out there on YouTube, they're like 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15, 20 minutes long. That's just a video, right? If you look at any of the Linus's videos, or maybe Mr. Beast, they're never an hour long, because of course it's not a podcast. But for a podcast, if you look at the old school podcasts on audio, radio, and things like that, they used to be long, because you could only hear them on the speaker, right? But now you get video podcasts like what we're doing right now, where you're watching our reaction to the comments, to the topics and discussions on the topics. So it's you're engaging, you're focused on the video as well, and audio. And 1 hour is long, especially
it's a long time
doing a video podcast. So I think it makes sense. If you look at shorts from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, they're like less than a minute, right? And people are watching those as well. So it makes sense, and I think we can focus more specific on one topic rather than several topics. So, for example, if we were talking about Twitter, we'll talk about Twitter. We can't really talk about, you can talk a little bit about Elon and SpaceX and Tesla and stuff like that. It's all all kind of like interconnected, right? But we need to focus just on Twitter, or focus just on Elon. So I think that then would shorten the podcast to 30 minutes, 45, max kind of thing. I think that's a good time for a lot of listeners and viewers, you think?
And also, and we've already alluded to this, right? But our third point is more focus. So again, like instead of focusing on like what Winston said there, SpaceX and other things related to Elon, we're actually only focusing on one part of Elon's sphere of influence, which is the one blue bird, which is now a dog. But that whole thing has, like, even just talking about the dog is a 30-minute show and why that happens. So that's what we mean by that. And I'm hoping that these three pillars that we're going to be focusing on moving forward into season 5 is going to help us grow the show. And also one thing that I was thinking of, I'll reveal that in the next part, because we have a rundown and I have an idea about that with the shorter show. So I'll talk about that later. But and this is why we have a rundown, because now we get to talk about season 5 and beyond. And we also have a show that's now very short. So, and because we have to make up time, about 10 minutes here, we can talk a little bit more about what our plans are for season 5 and beyond. And you know what? I have to admit, I think of shows one show at a time. So for me, I think one of the things that I think we can do, as long as we focus on one topic at a time, and that we're always focused with a lot of energy, and that we break up our shows into these more bite-sized pieces, is that, I don't know, depending on how many comments we get and how interested our audience is, maybe we go to 2 shows a week. What do you think about that, Winston?
I'm down for it, because 1 show a week is fine if it's a long show. But if you break down into, like I said, bite-sized, focused topic shows, then I think we could do 2, because normally we're trying to record 2 sessions every time we meet up. And if we could do 2 sessions of 30 or 45 minutes, I think that's a good time to have everything, all the energy into one. We can like really focus on those topics, and then output those shows twice a week.
Yeah,
but it's something that we're considering. We haven't decided fully, but I think we can think about that. Definitely.
It also lets us be a little bit more timely. I know for a fact that I would have loved to have talked about the Doge and why he's doing that. We do know why he's doing that, but we would have liked to have covered that a little bit more quickly. So by having that second slot every week, we're not always a slave to the Wednesday. We can have a Wednesday and a Friday show, or Monday and a Wednesday show, or something like that. Or as the news comes up, where we can come up with enough content in a rundown for a 30-minute talk, we can definitely bring that to you as soon as possible. And then you would be more educated, and then we're more educated. And then we can have more of a discussion down below about what the conspiracy theory is of the whole thing, right? So it's definitely, I think, one of the ideas.
I think it's good. Could be a good idea, because if you look at the Linus Hacked show, that was done on the Friday night or Friday, about Friday I think it was, and then we didn't post the show until the following Wednesday. So it was kind of like it happened already and people know already. Yeah, but we were talking about that, and so we could like do 2 shows. Could be like twice a week. I think that could something we could do.
It helps stay more current, and I think that as we look at the statistics, I mean, you're looking for shorter, more bite-sized content. We're on YouTube podcasts exclusively now in the US, regular YouTube video here, but we're now going to YouTube Music as well too. So if you're looking for interesting podcasts about tech, you might actually find us, and we appreciate that listen. So hopefully we can make things a little bit more up to date, as well as evergreen as well too. So maybe what we can do is every week we have a show where it's a set topic where we've been working on it for a little while now, and then something that's more current events, and we want to focus in on that one idea that is interesting to our audience. Like perhaps maybe it's an EV episode of this breakthrough technology, or how somebody recalled all their vehicles and what that actually means, and why it's not the anti-EV talking point that you think it is, right? So something like that, right? So I think that, we have a lot to say. I think there's a lot to do, and hopefully our audience here responds positively to us, because you have to tell us if we're doing things correctly and you're interested. And one way that we're hoping that it's going to help us is through Twitter, which is that Elon channel. We've started our Twitter channel. It's funny enough, it's very, very, very creative. It's called @OurPodcastShow. That's our Twitter handle. Just fun, Our Podcast Show. That's really all it is. I was actually very surprised that it was so easy to just take this from Elon.
I thought that was taken already. As in like using it.
I didn't notice that I just like took it and like, hey, wait a second, our podcast show, that's us. We can take that. So, and if you haven't signed up for Twitter in quite some time, man, Elon has put in some really funny looking puzzles for you to actually sign up for an account. I don't know if it's a US or a Canadian thing, but man, he's made it tough for bots to actually sign up. So to his credit, because I've had my Twitter account for so long, to his credit, he's made it very difficult for bots to figure out how to hack the system. I think in some cases, even though Mr. Musk is over the top, some of the things that he is saying has been heard, have been implemented in a kind of chaotic and controversial way. But, you know, I was actually very impressed with the way that it was implemented. It's like a 5-step process where a human actually has to look at things and figure out these little puzzles. And it's not even CAPTCHA. It's beyond CAPTCHA.
Oh, he's probably using a bit of AI there. Anyway.
Perhaps, because it figured out that I made a mistake on the last square that I didn't even, I just made a mistake. So I had to go back to the beginning and do the whole thing all over again, 5 steps to figure out this puzzle. And then it granted me access. And then it let me choose our podcast show as our Twitter handle to confirm it.
Nice.
And I was very surprised that it was there. I mean, it's it's like, why is it's so simple? It's like our podcast show.
That's nice. That's nice. I would have thought that was taken already, but hey, we got it now. So
we got it.
All good.
And at some point today, the AI that's powering it, which is me right now, it'll say uploading, which means that we've got a new show coming out for you.
Oh, great. That's true.
Every Wednesday. So hopefully as we move along, we can say uploading like MKBHD because we've already uploaded it. It's processed and it's a show that you'll enjoy. And because we're a little bit further ahead in time, past shows, hopefully you've been viewing that already. You've been seeing our presence on there. It truly is us. It's not some bot. It doesn't have a blue check because we're not paying for that. Hell no, Elon. Hell no. All right. So funny enough, we're at 25 minutes and we've had a really great conversation. And I hope that you enjoyed that energy. All right. Any closing thoughts for our audience as we move towards the future of season 5?
Well, looking forward, I want to have more guests. I think having guests really help the show as well because you're getting a third perspective in a certain topic. And I think, that really helps and also attracts more viewers as well, because if they know that person, they could have followers that could bring them in as well and all that kind of stuff. So definitely getting more guests on the show would be good. And maybe one day we could book a studio and do our podcast sessions there. So a proper studio, we're talking about, having like, some of the podcasts out there with a Logan Paul and all them guys, they're sitting on the couch, that kind of thing. So it gives it more of a homely kind of environment where we could just relax and talk about topics. That's something I think could help as well. So that's in the future. That could be, quite a distant future. But hey, we're working on towards.
I'd actually like to take out one of the new Rivian trucks because it has this huge console that I can put the Roadcaster there, and we can actually record in the truck.
Oh,
because it has plugs and everything like that. So I can plug in everything and put a camera in front of us and just drop it there. And then we can just record the whole podcast in a Rivian R1T or R1S. I hope you're watching us, Rivian. Or Lucid. Lucid has a huge panoramic dashboard. So we can just put the podcaster right there and our mics and everything. We just talk in the car.
Oh, yeah, that's it. We could have something like those ideas, which is a kind of out of the ordinary. People don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We could be just me and Stephen sitting in the car
and doing a podcast.
With the cameras, doing the podcast, and we could be out in the open somewhere.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Waving at people.
Well, it's an idea, right? I mean, it's interesting. If you look at our backgrounds, we're at home, right? Yeah, Stephen's in his little studio there, and you can see all my stuff at the back. But that's just at home, right?
Yeah.
But imagine having a podcast out in the open. If you do something with, I don't know, we're talking about outdoors, a podcast about outdoor tech, right? Yeah. We could be out there in the car, just two of us.
The F-150 Lightning plugged into the back outlets and just in the tailgate even. And hey, look at this beautiful view. We're recording in nature. Hi, how's it going?
And then we go, hey, there's a Tesla charger right there.
Oh, look at that. Look at that thing right over there.
Which
Yeah.
So it's going to be all fun.
Lots of ideas, lots of opportunities, and of course, an opportunity for you to comment below. We're fishing for comments right now, so let us know what's going on. We do have one of the features that we have turned on is the strictness filter, because we know that a lot of known troll accounts are out there, and YouTube has done a fantastic job of filtering those out. This is a safer space, so we have turned that on for our podcast. So if there's something that you want to say, go ahead and say it. We will respond. And, we love constructive criticism, but we also need feedback as well, too. If we're doing something that's annoying the crap out of you, please let us know what it is, because we don't know what it is. We don't watch ourselves half the time, right? I know Winston does, because he has to do the time codes for everything like that. But, please reach out. So hey, look at this, 28:45. So before we leave you again, we just want to thank each and every one of you for listening every week. We're now at over 260 subscribers since the last time we spoke. Welcome to all of you. And we're also going to be taking a short break. And we'll be coming back on May 10th, which kicks off season 5. But it's also our 1-year anniversary on May 10th.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We're hitting 1 year old for this podcast. We're starting season 4. That means we've done 4 seasons of a podcast plus specials and updates.
Wow.
In a year.
That's
a lot.
crazy.
That's a lot. So
it's fast. It's been quick, isn't it? It's like, wow.
Quick. Super quick. So
I remember the first time I just say, "Hey, Stephen, on the phone. Are you busy? What are you doing? do you want me to do you want us to do something together?"
Yeah.
And I thought, okay. You drove down, meet me, and we just sat down, we'll have coffee, and then I was thinking of doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because I had just stopped. I was just let go from my other job. I was laid off. Still contracting for them, but now a year later, we're 40 shows in. We're going to Taiwan in just a few short weeks, and we're going to be celebrating our first year together. We've basically outlasted most relationships.
Oh, the whole year. It's been hard work, but it's been slowly getting paid off because when we go international, like you said, in May with the Computex show, we'll have some really good content, right? We're going to have some guests on. We're going to have interviews. We're going to have, it's going to be great. So watch out for a load of those shows in after May, June. So the 5th season is going to be superb. Yeah.
Don't worry. We're going to be working in between now and May 10th. So we'll be working hard on the next season. We can't wait to have you back. But in the meantime, if you don't want it, if you feel shy about commenting, I know the comments down here, sometimes it's like someone's going to troll you or anything like that. Why don't you try reaching out to me on Instagram? I'm at Stephen Fung. I'm down there as well, too. I'm also on Twitter, of course, at Stephen Fung. And our podcast show, you can also reach out to that channel. We will respond there as well, too, at our podcast show on Twitter. Isn't that funny? It works. That's our handle. It's us.
Woohoo!
How about you, Winston?
Yeah, you can reach me on Instagram as well at Winston Chim, and as well as Instagram and Twitter as well at Winston Chim. So mostly lifestyle stuff, but I'm gonna be promoting as well our podcast show on that too. So can't wait.
All right. So until next time, which will be May 10th, that's a Wednesday. We'll see you again. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye bye.